Good evening. It is Sunday, March 6th. Thank you very much for joining me for another episode of Sunday Night Magic here on the Variable Play Network. My name is Javi. Thank you so much for joining the show. Um, we talk magic here. So every Sunday night, well, with the exception of last week, sorry for everyone that I wasn't on air. We did a recording for Ron's new game, Plataforma. If you haven't seen it, please go to the Variable Play Network channel and check out our live playthrough. I won. So I'm so proud of it because I won. But it also is a really fun game. This is like the second version of the game, so it's definitely something that has improved and come along in the process. And I actually can't wait to have a printed copy of it. I'm pretty sure a lot of people will find it very interesting. So, with that out of the way, thank you for joining me tonight for Sunday Night Magic. Tonight, we're going to be talking about a new set that's coming out in Magic the Gathering. So, Kamigawa Neon Dynasty just came out. It's not even like not even 2 weeks since release. There's already shipping delays, so that's why a lot of people haven't even really gotten to their product yet, and they're already making announcements for the next set. So they're really churning stuff out. I researched into how much new product is coming out, and if I decided to cover everything tonight, I would have maybe clocked close to 3 hours. So instead, I'm going to just be focusing on the new set since we do have some information on it and even like a timeline. And this is going to be like products that I would say would be readily available and also would be like essential to Magic players because this is a new set. This isn't any supplementary set. This isn't reskins or alternate arts like secret layers. So this here is going to be like a new standard block, and it's really going to be changing and shaping the game. So this new set is called the Streets of New Capenna. I realized I should maybe just have a black background here. That might have helped better. But, it is what it is. Um, I'm going to be going through the comment section also later. If anyone who is watching the stream would like to contribute, share their feedback and thoughts and reactions on this stuff, please, by all means, please share it, and I'll get to you as soon as I see it pop up, and incorporate it into our conversation here. Special shout out also to one of my favorite non-magic viewers who is always here. Hi Anna, thank you for joining. All right, so let's start off here with the set symbol. So the Streets of New Capenna is going to be starting off here with a set symbol that really it's a pair of brass knuckles with angel wings. This is the most unmagic thing I've seen so far because of the whole brass knuckle situation. But New Capenna is set in a world that was built by angels who have been overthrown by demons. And so now the demons run the city or run the plane. So it's a very interesting dynamic. And we're going to get to like the art style and theme of it. But also for additional reference, the commander expansion symbol was also provided. So this is what the commander set looks like. It's pretty much like still the usual shield symbol that they tend to go with, but this one has angel wings and kind of has like a tower structure in the middle. And the reason why it has that kind of design to it is that this entire plane of New Capenna is set in what would be, I would maybe call it a noir style, um, noir theme. And what I mean by that, and what you can expect from this plane is actually very interesting. And from the information that we received, the very first thing that we got were the basic lands. And that should really give you guys an idea of what the plane looks like. Let's begin with the planes. These are the most unplain planes I've seen. As you can see on the left hand image, there's zeppelins, and we're looking at buildings with lights. This is like a modern era setting. This is not swords and sorcery anymore. This is very off theme for most magic sets. Like Kamigawa, even Neon Dynasty was like put into the future and was supposed to be like, like future tech. It did have mechs and stuff, but they didn't really have like they don't really have guns. They still use swords. So like there's still some lines that they don't necessarily cross. But for this set, it really feels like it's in a totally different world. On the left here, you have zeppelins and buildings that I really like the artwork. It actually reminds me of like the music video of Ghost for Square Hammer, and actually a couple of other things like the whole. It's a really good metropolis look. And then to the right, you have trains. There are trains in New Capenna, which means that their transportation has, like they've taken vehicles to the next level here. So it's really going towards modern age, and you can see people in the background wearing casual clothing. So it's going to be very different from any other Magic plane that we've been to. And apparently, train stations count as planes. Who would have thought? Right, next are the islands. So the island on the left still kind of feels like magic. Like it still has that whole body of water look. It could almost be a swamp if you asked me. But this also kind of has that feel of like the whole gondolas of Venice situation. While on the right, you still have the very massive fantasy structure here that is an angel. So again, New Capenna used to be under the control of angels, but they were overthrown. So this still has a very high fantasy look to it. It is modern in the setting, but it has ancient structures, so it tends to like set it back a bit. So this one's still really nice. I like the islands here, although I prefer the left one over the right for my personal preference. The forests also look really nice. So you can still see cityscapes in the artwork, but you're also looking at overgrowth, which means that, the angels were toppled over and that they no longer control this city, and the demons and crime families do. And I guess they've kind of neglected certain parts of it, that it's grown into, overgrowth, and plants have kind of creeped back into the city. It's different from like what Ravnica had in mind, that the whole um s- plane was a city, and then they had gardens, they had rot pits or rot farms rather, and they still had the outskirts where the Gruul clans hung out. But this one's a bit different because like it's pretty much just using the foliage that exists inside the city, or using overgrowth as the depiction of green mana, which is very, very interesting. Hey, hi, Mark. Yes, it does really feel like Great Gatsby. That's right. A lot of the design concepts that you're gonna have see here is like a lot of the vertical lines and a lot of the noir spotlight look to it. Like, yes, I totally agree. I didn't have the Great Gatsby specifically in mind, so that is actually really good. I didn't think of that title, but I totally agree. I did have some other ideas, like I mentioned earlier, for Ghost Square Hammer, which is also like based on like like the whole, there's like the Dick Tracy series and even the movie. So a lot of that whole gumshoe detective noir style. Moving on to the swamps. These ones are a little difficult for me. Um, the left one looks like an abandoned building, and of course, it does have like leaking water around it. I'm not too sure how that depicts as a swamp, to be honest. It doesn't really look like it's like the underbelly of any particular city. The right one, I can see sort of run like chemical runoff on the side, so that kind of makes sense. So, it is like sort of like waste being dumped out, and that would be like swamp. But these are kind of the weakest depictions of swamps, in my opinion. Um, Last ones are the mountains. So the left one has this really amazing stained glass look to it. It does kind of have a lot going on that I'm not too sure if this is the kind of mountain that I would be build using for my decks, because it's kind of confusing. The one on the right is a really nice like posterized image of a skyscraper or a group of skyscrapers that from a distance, that they kind of look like a mountain. You can even see the colors sort of ascending from like red to orange to yellow. So it's very interesting. It doesn't really feel like a mountain, but I can see how it would translate in this plane. So I would probably get that, and it'd probably look amazing in foil. Hey, Anna Flo there. Thank you very much again. Thank you so much for being the most consistent non-magic viewer on my show. I hope that you find this new artwork or this new set for Magic interesting. So again, like what I was saying, it's a very noir style set, and to kind of give you an idea, also, so we've looked at the locations. Now let's take a look at the characters. And the very first one that they actually spoiled or kind of shared was already in the initial product information. This is the Planeswalker Obnixilis. So the demon turned planeswalker, and as you can see in this artwork, this is the first time I've ever seen a demon in pinstripe pants. So they're really going with the whole mobster gang look. And to Mark's comment earlier with the whole look of the Great Gatsby, if you look at the design on the back, it really does kind of have that feel to it. So it's a very different set in terms of art and feel, and the reason why is that they've really taken it to a setting that I don't think has ever been done for fantasy games. And for this particular plane, New Capenna is ran by gangs. So there are 5 specific gangs that run this place. And it's very interesting that they've decided to go with the original Shards of Alara block. If for those of you who are not familiar, a very old set in Magic. Well, I say very old, but it's not that old. But in a set called the Shards of Alara, they introduced a plane that was broken up into 5 shards or 5 realms, that each of those had the 3 colors that determined pretty much like the whole theme and look of those realms. And the very first one that is actually my personal favorite has been the realm of Esper, which is blue, white, and black. And it's always been about body modification and pretty much replacing and enhancing themselves with a metal called Ethereum. And we've been seeing a lot of artwork and a lot of new cards. Like they did make the Esper Sentinel recently in Modern Horizons 2. But you know what? Esper is going to be a thing of the past, because the very first um, gang or family from New Capenna is the Obscura, and they are going to be blue, white, and black. As you can see here, they do have like the symbol of a hand with like a dagger that appears to be going through it, and it's going through a keyhole. So a lot of things to unpack there. It seems like they are maybe keepers of secrets, or that they may be like a group of assassins. Can't really say for certain based directly on this, but it does at least give them a lot of flexibility in how they can define this gang altogether. So the Obscura is going to be the blue, white, and black color combination, or the shard that is pretty much previously known as Esper. Next to them is going to be the Maestros or Maestros. I'm going to say Maestros. That's probably it, because like Maelstrom is so close to that too. You have here like a chalice, or maybe that was like a wine glass with crossing daggers. So this here is the Grixis. This is red, blue, and black. So this is going to be the house replacing Grixis. We don't have too much information again about them, but again, crossing daggers here. These ones again might be more of the cutthroat individuals, that these really seem to be more of the aggressive crime family. Next is the Riveteers. So the Riveteers are going to be replacing Jund. Jund is red, black, and green. More of like the whole wild, untamed, giant monsters devouring each other is now replaced with what appears to be symbols of industry. You have a hammer and an anvil, which means that these are probably going to be like the whole union workers. This is going to be like those people that you need in order to get stuff done. They're the workforce that keeps Capenna active. Based on this image, that's my take on the situation. And it could be very interesting because going back a few sets in Strixhaven, they introduced the lore hold, which is red and white, and that they were all about artifacts. Now, using this symbol, that the riveteers like hammer and anvil, that it kind of gives me the same feel, but this is going to be black, red, and green. So it's very different, but they may be able to coexist in the same space, which would really make Standard very interesting to play. The next one is the House Cabaretti. So as you can see, it does have like a animal mask, so to speak, with a crown, and this is the colors of Naya, which is green, red, and white, which was more animalistic and also a very interesting color combination because it was not untamed monsters. This was more of like armies and militia of like anthropomorphic characters. And the fact that it is still maintaining that animal mask in the design kind of gives me that whole feeling that it is still going to be like a whole zoo of characters. And I'm not sure what role they particularly play. Maybe they're enforcers, maybe they're um I don't know, like we've already done with the industry yet. Enforcers, and maybe they're more of in the forefront of like um transportation or something like that. I don't know, I can only guess. But based on the symbol alone, it still looks like they're going to be animal based. And then the very last one, which we actually have a little bit more of information on, is the brokers. So this is the original color of band of red, blue, and white. So this is pretty much like the whole lawyers, contract makers, and like the wheelers and dealers of New Capenna. That this is the economy. These are the people running businesses, loan sharks, and such. But it's just so interesting that this is in blue, white, and green. Typically, for something like that, you're maybe looking at Orzhov, which is the black and white. But ever since they've been replaced, so that Silver Quill is the new black and white, they've sort of relegated those maybe characteristics over to a new faction here. So I'm going to be looking out for this because it actually might be able to offer me flexibility that I can finally break out of black and white for the whole death and taxes build and finally incorporate more blue and white, which is going to be really great. So one thing that I'm also going to point out here is that this faction is blue, green, and white. There is no black and red here, but it was explained that there are 5 crime families that run this town and that demons have taken over New Capenna. There is no demon in blue, white, and green. So this set might actually offer for the first time off color demons that are just not black, or at least a combination of black and something. I mean, those do exist, but this is like definitely, if even going back to this color of Cabaretti, this is green, white, red. There might be a red demon in magic lore, but I don't think that there's ever been like a red green or a green white. So it's gonna happen, I suppose. To also give you an idea of how these houses run, they also do have their own specific like home bases here. And what makes it super interesting is that it actually fulfills the second half of something that Wizards started back in Ikoria, and this is bringing the triomes back. These are lands that count as 3 land types. They come into play tap, but you also have the option to cycle them and draw a new card. So these cards are representing all 5 of the factions. and have three land types and also have the faction symbols watermarked on the cards. But if you're looking at all of their names, they don't match the houses. And that's because these are named after important figures in each house. You have the very first one is, I'm going to say Jetmir, Spara, Rafine, Zaitora, and Xander. So these are going to be important characters that probably represent or lead each of these families. So I'm looking forward to, seeing more once they spoil more cards. But again, for the collectors out there, you'll be happy to know, like I personally will be hunting down these versions of the cards. And because it's just a matter of OCD for me, because they are also going to be introducing full art or pretty much borderless versions of these lands. And these look really great, but they do highlight the specific family symbol on the cards. This will probably look amazing on foil, but they're not going to match the previous triomes. So that's just a personal thing for me. If I'm going to get all 10 triomes, I want them to have the same look. So I'll probably be getting just the standard version of them. But these are amazing. The artwork is really, really good. And to make it even better, they have made a third version of these lands, and this is called the skyscraper treatment. And so this goes right back into the theme of New Capenna, that these cards have a very different kind of border and offer a different setting here. I would like to point out the one artwork I put here in the front, the Proving Ground. It's a boxing ring. So Magic has a boxing ring now. So it's so interesting that they've actually like really taken us to a totally different or a modern setting, which I'm really looking forward to. So I hope that that's kind of set the look and feel of New Capenna. We've gone over the basic lands. We've seen like one planeswalker of Nixilis. We've learned about the five families that run the place. And you know what? I'm pretty sure that you're here to see cards. So let's go ahead and look at the cards. Hey, comment. Yes, standard art looks better. I agree. Well, me, I like the standard art because I can get five triomes from Ikoria and five triomes here, and they're all going to look the same. And I'm going to appreciate that because if they look different, it's going to bug the living hell out of me. For other people, you know what? I'm pretty sure that they might appreciate also these additional artwork versions, and I would too. So here, actually, to make that point, hey Ron, thank you for joining. So yep, I mean the architecture that they've kind of used for this city is like really, really nice. That they've already kind of shared like full art versions of this without the card details. So definitely go to Daily MTG and check that out. So really nice artwork, more full blown versions of these. I kind of just wanted to focus also with the border so people can see what it looks like. These probably look badass on foils. But you know what? Let's go into some cards. And they've actually shared one card and also offered an alternate version so people also know what to expect. This here is Broker's Ascendancy, which is for the Brokers faction. And when you read this, you will notice that it has ascendancy. Going back to the Khans of Tarkir set where they had the other color wedges or other color combinations that the triomes fill in, they each had their own they all had their own ascendancy card. So this is going to be completing the other five ascendancy color combinations, which is great, which means now you can have all 10 ascendancies as well. For Broker's Ascendancy here, it is a 3 to cast enchantment that reads as follows. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. That's great. Every creature you have gets bigger, and a loyalty counter on each planeswalker you control. This is going to be great on an Atraxa deck. So, but also, this kind of gives you an idea of how the Brokers faction kind of plays out here. If you're looking at the artwork, you see there's like there's like three humans. Oh no, two humans in the artwork. You have like a bird, and yeah, an Avon character. You have like a rhino on the back, and you also have a cat on the right. Looks like a lynx. So it's like again amalgamation of different animal types, but it does really also feel very Bant. Bant had the loxodons, like the elephant people. It also had a rhino. They also had cats. They also had Avon characters. So it still fits right in. And on the right of this, you're looking at the showcase version, which again continues that art feel that Mark also mentioned that looks very great Gatsby here. It's very the art for the image itself, I mean the borders really fill in that theme well, but the art itself is a very, I would say, hmm, what would be eclectic? I'm not really sure what word I would use here, but basically it's it's a very unusual depiction of the very same scene. You still have the cat on the right, you still have the rhino, the bird guys on the right this time, and then you have like the two humans on the left. So I don't know, it's the same kind of artwork. It still has the contract and everything happening there. It's kind of sad that the flavor text is no longer on the bottom of the card, but you know what? It's a really nice looking card. So at least we have this too. We can expect Triumph lands to finish the whole set, and then we can expect also Ascendancy cards to finish the entire set of 10 Ascendancies. So that's something great to look forward to. And that's not all. We still have some more information about the set. To put some things into context, also give you an idea what it looks like. The products that are going to be coming out have also been shared. On the top left here, you have the draft boosters featuring Obnixilis. To the right of it, you're looking at the set booster box. And interesting enough, that artwork there looks like an angel up on the screen. But if you look behind it, you'll see a windshield and like a person behind it, maybe a demon or a human, which means that that angel is actually a hood ornament. So there are cars here. On the bottom left, you have the collector boosters. So you still have the building structures and some of the whole angels, like angel statues from the previous people who ran this realm or plane. So, again, more things to kind of give you an idea of what the set looks like. I really like the whole font and the look that they used for the set boosters is really nice. And the last one here is the pre-release box. Now they're going to be doing something different here. They've done it in the past for like the Guilds of Ravnica and other sets like that. But if you take a look at the pre-release box here, you'll notice that it has blue, white, and black across the side of it. Because on pre-release, you will get to choose which of the five houses you would like to sort of defend or represent. So that's interesting that they're going to try adding in a little more, like more levels of interaction here that I look forward to seeing how effective it was. I know in Zendikar, they kind of did like the whole treasure rush thing, trying to open one of those floating like pylon looking structures. I cannot remember what they are called, but they've also done this with Ixalan, that they had the whole treasure map and going to different points. So again, it's something that they're going to be doing pretty much for the in-store pre-release events, and I look forward to seeing how it's going to go. For other artworks, just to fill in some gaps here, I'd like to show you guys also the theme boosters. I personally will never recommend theme boosters. We're looking at 35 cards with a single rare, which is total crap. The only reason why I decided to include this here is so that you can also see some of the additional artworks. So on the top left, you have like the Obscura still has like like a wizard feel to it, like fortune telling. So I'm still I'm still thinking that it's gonna be very close to what the traditional Magic cards have been. On the center here for the riveters, you're looking at a, I would say, a demon wearing boxing gloves. So that one's also very interesting. It's very different, and then he even has this little coach on the side. Next to that, for the brokers, um, not sure what I'm looking at here, but the character is wearing a suit with a necktie. So, like, they're very business. Again, to my prediction of them being like the whole economy, wheeler and dealers, lawyers, and, like, bean counters of New Capenna. I think that's gonna fit in right there. Below, let's go to the right one, which is the cabaret. So you can see here from this character, I think that this actually does kind of help me understand this more. I think that they're really the high society, considering that they did have the mask and the crown, and looking at this artwork of this lady pretty much wearing a snake like a shawl is telling me that they are probably high society in New Capenna. And then the last one is the maestros again for the previous Grixis, and again what looks like a very shady assassiny character. So there's that too. So jumping back to the products that I showed earlier, one of the things that I also wanted to make sure that I shared with everyone is that a few episodes back, I'm gonna say maybe that was probably last year. Yeah, it was most likely last year, where we featured the secret layer for Stranger Things. Hey Jake, thank you for joining the show, man. Haven't seen you in a while, man. So for the Stranger Things secret layer, they promised that they would be creating magic versions for those characters. And guess what? They are coming out in New Capenna. They are going to be included in the set boosters. And to give you some context of what that looks like, the very first two that they provided here. So this is, I'm going to say Cecily. I don't think that they're ever going to pronounce it as Cecily. So this is Cecily, Haunted Mage, and Elmar, Ulvenwald Informant. So they've kind of taken some of the themes from Crimson Vow and Midnight Hunt here with the whole Ulvenwald. But here's the thing. It's a little annoying to me, really, because you're going to see it in some of these other cards. They kind of missed out on some things here. First off, how can you tell that on the left here that Cecily is 11 from Stranger Things? There should actually be a second name underneath the card name so that it can tell you that they are the exact card, so you can't have duplicates. The reason why I know this is the very first line of the card says your maximum hand size is 11 because of the character 11 from Stranger Things. And it also has the Friends Forever ability. It makes no sense for a haunted mage to have Friends Forever as an ability. And then now going to Elmar, you can see that he is just a human. He's not a ranger. He's not a soldier. And that's because he's modeled after a child character from Stranger Things. It just boggles me. Haunted Mage got to be a wizard, but this informant isn't even a scout or doesn't have any ranking or secondary creature type, which is so weird. Now, moving forward, you have Arvinox the Mind Flail, which is so close to Mind Flayer. But you know what? Look, it's a horror. That's exactly what it was supposed to be. But next to it, you have Bjorna, Nightfall Alchemist. This character is an alchemist. Okay? And the fact that it is a Stranger Thing character turned into a magic character, if you read the creature type, it is just a human. An alchemist it doesn't have a secondary creature type. It is just so this is like look at that artwork. There's like lightning and stuff shooting everywhere. And this person cannot get even like a secondary creature type attached to them because they are modeled after a child. It is so frustrating. Wait, okay. Before I stress myself out, we have some more comments. Oh, yeah. So like Riveteer. Yeah, you know what? A lot of people do really prefer like the whole and even down to Naya, the zoo builds and stuff. I will always represent House Esper, so I am so obscura. I am going to pretty much focus all of my attention to those colors. Hey Ron, thank you for joining. So there's two Rons here now. Awesome. I hope that you find the information here for the new set exciting. But we're kind of like winding down a little bit here. So this here are the reimagined or magic universe version of the Stranger Thing characters. And you see, like to the next one, you have Sophina, Spear Sage Deserter, and you have Wernog Rider's Chaplain. Sophina is a reimagined or rethemed version of Hopper, and Hopper is a human soldier in his card. So it does kind of make sense again that they added that in. But going to Wernog, he should have been a human cleric. But because he was modeled after a child from Stranger Things, he is just a human. And I really they could have just renamed Friends Forever if that was the case, but they didn't do it. So there's some weird bits and pieces that are missing here. There's no secondary name, and I how do you tell them apart from the Stranger Things set? Like, so how do you know the difference? And then, well, my personal thing is that secondary creature types are totally missed here. And lastly, of course, they do have the Upside Down, which is now known as the Haven Gull Laboratory. And you know what? When they made the Upside Down, the card actually flips, that it was printed upside down, which I thought was super unique. They did add a little bit of a flavor bit here that if you look at the top left corner, you'll see that there is the symbol for a land, and on the Haven Gull Mystery, it's the same symbol, just upside down. So it's like a little bit of an homage to the Upside Down. Oh, you know what? I actually ordered this wrong. There's two more cards. So apologies for that. But we also have Hargild, Kindly Rune Chanter, and Othelm, Sigardan Outcast, both modeled after children from Stranger Things, so they don't get secondary card types. They're just humans. But at least this opens up to, if you missed out on the Stranger Things secret layer or did not want to pay that amount, you can still get these characters. They're just named differently, but it's again built into Magic lore. And this might make sense. This might make more sense thematically when you're building your deck around them. So, I hope that it makes more sense, or it's a better fit for people. Like, I did not purchase the Stranger Things secret layer, so being given access to these cards is actually something I would consider very positive, because the whole FOMO and having to pay the price for a secret layer and the delays in shipment for getting one of those things is just dumbfounding. So I'm happy that I don't have to bother with it, and that I can even get non-foil versions, because if you don't want your cards curling, you can actually get non-foil versions of these characters on set boosters. So good on that. So that pretty much wraps up majority of the information that we have for New Capenna. For timelines, just to fill in for everyone here, is that the story for the set will begin release from March 28th to April 5. In between that, they're going to have the story video on the 31st. So they're kind of doing it a little different this time, because actually this new set is going to release in paper form before digital. So usually for any Magic set that's come out maybe in the last maybe 2 years, that you could play it digitally on Arena and then decide if you want to buy printed. They're doing it the other way around now, that it's going to launch printed and then be transferred over to Arena. And pretty much going through this timeline here, It doesn't really particularly show it, but there is one bullet point that just mentions it at around halfway into April. So debut video and previews begin on the 7th. The card image gallery for the entire set is expected to be done by the 15th. So you have one full week of spoilers. Then Commander previews will be on 18 to 19 of April. They are releasing 5 Commander decks for this, which is going to be themed against the 5 houses. And interesting enough, they're actually adding in something very, very unique here. They're actually going to be putting a mini collector pack inside all 5 of the Commander decks, which is like 2 collector cards, so to speak, possibly foil or in like showcase art form. So they kind of wanted to just throw in a little bit of a taste of what a collector pack might contain. So at least that's something to look forward to if you are buying the Commander decks. The full Commander card image gallery is expected to be completed by the 20th. Then they're having the in-store pre-release, and that's going to be, and even the sales of the set will begin April 22nd. MTG Arena and Magic Online will have the cards available by the 28th. So there's going to be a full week that you can only get this new set in printed form before it goes digital. So that's enough of a time, I think, maybe for you to decide if you really want to spend all of your gems and credits and whatnot in Arena. Then, pretty much Streets of New Capenna launch trailer, which is like it's officially like added in because it's both in print and digital, is the 28th as well, with the worldwide release being April 29. So this is when it's going to be like legal, standard legal for the Magic formats. Commander launch parties will be from 29th to May 1st. So that one I've never really attended a Commander launch party, so I'm not necessarily sure what to expect there. Game day will be from May 7th to the 15th, and then store championships will be from July 9 to 17. To give you an idea of what you can probably expect there also for the store events, they are offering Swiftfoot boots and Mind Stone as rewards. These are going to be the promos for, if you look at the bottom of the card, it does say here the launch weekend, and then Mind Stone is a promo. So this is going to be for in-store events related to the set that you can look forward to. So that pretty much wraps up the information that I had for you guys. Again, they just gave us a soft announcement, really, but New Capenna is coming, and it's going to be beginning around like from the timeline that I showed you guys within the month of April. So there's a lot to look forward to. So we know about the setting, we know about the 5 houses, we know that there's going to be the triomes, ascendancy, and then the Stranger Things translated versions are going to be included in set boosters. And we did have one sample card for the Naya, or pretty much this time called the Broker's Ascendancy. So it's going to be a lot coming in at a slow drip. And once we have more information, we'll probably do another episode. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This was really fun for me to kind of dive in and speculate and just really see what could be coming. And, if you have any comments or feedback, if you're excited for New Capenna, please let me know. Share this video with anyone that you think would be excited also for the upcoming set. With that, thank you all. Have a great Sunday. Keep gaming.